Hey everyone, and welcome to a very special episode of Video Games Ahoy. It's our 36th podcast of the year, but more importantly, our selections for Game of the Year. My name is Jonathan Radford, and today I'm joined by Dav Gape,
Merry,
Dav Weeks,
Christmas,
and Zach Hamilton.
Motherfuckers! I'm just gonna bleep it. I'm just gonna bleep it out. I'm gonna bleep it out, so it's fine.
End as we started, really, just nonsensically. How are you doing, gents?
all good.
Oh, so good.
Yeah,
just had my fourth Christmas dinner.
I'm so full.
Yeah, we're rolling Christmas over 8 days, so it's good. It's good.
Yep. So we should say actually this is going to be a very interesting podcast because this is actually our last podcast of the year.
Wow.
Which is crazy. I mean, when did we start? Was it April we started?
Yes.
It feels so weird because it feels like we've been going for ages, but also it feels like we're
Yeah.
still new, if that makes sense. It's really
I feel like we just started.
I know, it's
That's
so
true.
bizarre. It's so bizarre.
We act like we just started.
yeah.
Yeah, that is true. Definitely true. But yeah, let's kickstart off the podcast because we've got a lot to talk about, and it's hopefully be a bit of fun. If you are listening for the first time, then where have you been? We're Video Games Ahoy.
Get your shit together, guys.
and if you do know us well, then welcome back. We put these episodes
Dav
every
Gape is in a
Saturday.
silly mood today.
I'm loving it. I'm genuinely loving it. We put this episode every Saturday morning. I doubt this one's going to go out Saturday morning because this is going to be like I said, our end of the year pod. So I might sneakily check it in on the 27th. Who knows? I mean, you'll find out on the day when it comes out. If it's the 27th, and then
You're
I've
checking
nailed
it
it.
out. You're checking it out today, Johnny. You've just committed now.
I did it like two seconds ago. We recorded this like 2 hours ago. This is brand new.
This was recorded January 1st, 2020.
Yeah, preempted.
These are all predictions of the future. They're all correct.
We're gonna have a wonderful year, everyone. Let's just everyone's gonna be able to see each other. And
I can't wait. I can't wait for Cyberpunk to release in February.
Oh God, yeah, it's gonna be in a great state. It's gonna be in a great state.
Last of Us 2, February as well. That's going to be good. Looking forward to that.
Halo Infinite.
Halo Infinite.
I mean, has that even been announced
Bring it
yet? I
on.
mean, we're predicting the future now. I mean, that's the thing. But yeah, like I said, we do put these out. We're already having some fun as well, which is great. We put these out every Saturday, but just keep an eye out when we're gonna keep some stuff coming out. Hopefully, some Hall of Faming should be there soon as well. And if you do want to see these deliciously dreamy mugs of ours, then we're on YouTube as well, so check us out there. And stick around to the end because we'll have a quick chat about the Patreon page and what we offer over there. But to everyone that does contribute, thank you so much. We are eternally grateful. And we are also proud to say that we're affiliated with Green Man Gaming, so if you do have any gaming needs, and you wanna
Especially
look
in
for
the
some delicious
Christmas
deals,
time, they've got so many deals on it. It's ridiculous.
Yeah,
My wallet is screaming at me to buy stuff, and I'm like, no,
there's nothing in you.
you're empty. That's why you're screaming.
But yeah, head on over to Green Man Gaming via the link in description. Now, as we said, today is going to be slightly different. As instead of the usual format where we talk about news, we're just going to talk about some of the best and maybe some of the worst moments of 2020 and eventually end up with our personal games of the year. Now, we've got a couple of categories.
Gaming only.
Yeah.
Best and worst moments in gaming.
In gaming, yes.
We're not going to talk
In
about the
gaming.
worst moments of 2020.
Yeah,
I mean,
the grand scheme of things.
We
Come on.
could be here a long time. But yeah, best and worst of gaming in 2020. So the first one we'll start off with. Does anyone want to start, by the way? Does anyone want to go first? I'll tell you what the topic is when we...
What's the topic?
Okay, well, the topic is favourite game from a previous year. So this one is a game that you've played this year that is basically just from another year. That's it. That's. I don't think I need to explain anymore. Does anyone want to go first?
Happy to.
Dav Weeks, take it.
Yeah, because for me, it's a game that, I mean, I'll be honest, most of the games I've played this year have been games from previous years because I live in the past. That's basically my raison d'etre. But it's a recent game that I've been playing, and now that I'm in Brighton and I don't have my PS4, I'm getting hankerings for a game that I don't get to play, and that's kind of something I've not had to witness this year. So, and it's Hollow Knight. I miss Hollow Knight.
I knew you were going to say Hollow Knight. I knew you were going to say that.
I miss it.
It's so good.
I've been away from home for like the past fortnight, and it's like, I kind of want to play Hollow Knight.
I can't believe I tried. I was going to pitch. Did I even pitch that for the Hall of Fame, or did I not? I can't remember.
I think you pitched Metroid.
Oh, I did. Oh, that's right. No, I pitched.
Metroid,
I pitched the musician. I pitched Christopher Larkin.
Yeah,
that's right.
But you'd not played it at that point, so I'm so happy that you love it that much. It's so good.
It's really fun. I really enjoy it.
Did you get on the PS4, Dev?
Yeah, it came out last month on the.
Oh right, of course,
network.
PS Plus,
PlayStation Plus thing.
Oh man, that is awesome. I mean,
where did you get up to for it?
Say again.
Where did you get up to in it?
Oh, I could not kill the 3 mantises boss.
Oh my god, that's awesome! That's the one that I was I got as far as that for the stream, and I was like, I was like, I have to beat this on camera because it's the bit that makes me. That's my favorite part of the game because it's the part where it's like, you know, when people always say with Dark Souls that like there's like certain bosses or whatever that are like the decider of whether or not you're going to keep going. I think for Hollow Knight, it's that boss is like
kill the 3 mantises.
If you want to keep fighting them, you want to keep playing the game. But if you get sick of them, then it's not a game for you. Should just that's a good moment. But no, if you still keep wanting to play it, that's very good news in my opinion.
Oh, there we go. In that case, it's going really well then, because I really want to go when I get home. I want to kill those fucking mantises.
Yep. Well, actually, it's. I mean, are you going to buy Silksong when it eventually comes out? Because that's the second one. Should be coming out.
Yeah, I guess so.
When is Dav Gape? Do you know when that's coming out? That's like. Is that the
They haven't got a solid release date yet, but I reckon next year.
Yeah.
People thought it was going to come this year.
They did.
Maybe it was going to, and then 2020 happened.
Yeah.
So, I reckon I'm going to say June 2021.
June, and when this episode comes out next year, eventually when I drop in December 27th next 2021, we'll see if that was right.
Was it a summer release on the original game?
We should definitely do predictions next year. Say it again, sorry, Zach.
Was it a summer release on the original?
I don't know. I didn't play when it first came out.
And neither did I.
I can't even remember when it first came out. Was it 2018?
I think it was 2017.
2017, around then. Because it came out. It didn't come out on the Switch first, did it? It came out on something else.
So I only got it when it came onto the Switch. Cause
yeah, me too.
It's the only console I had, I think.
Yeah, I bought it on the Switch as well because I thought that it would be the perfect console to play it on. Because it's one of those games where the graphics. The graphics are beautiful, but it's not.
It doesn't require like.
It's not going to make a difference as if I play on the PS4.
It's not like Bug Snacks, which obviously requires PS5 technology.
Oh yeah, that's true. That SSD. 24th of February 2017.
Oh, there we are.
Oh,
awesome.
Okay, all right.
Amazing, great. Not long then. Awesome. Thanks, Steph. Is there anything else anything else you'd like to mention, or are you just happy with?
I'm just gonna leave that right there. I mean,
Great.
I am also gonna say Pikmin 3. I love.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna put that one in there as well, just because it deserves another mention. But let's carry on. Who else has got one?
Anyone want to go next?
I'll go.
Yeah, Zach.
I'm gonna go with one that I think has been on a lot of people's minds. I know it's been on Dav Gape's mind to a certain degree. It's Among Us, which is obviously a game that came out in, I believe, 2018. And the main reason I want to put it up there is because of what it means to everyone. In my opinion, there's a good reason that it blew up in 2020.
Yeah.
For me, I play maybe once a week with a group of friends. And sometimes we're really lucky and we have like a full 10, which is awesome. Sometimes it's a little smaller. But it's because we can't hang out, I've got all these cool people I want to hang out with who I just can't. Not that I'm saying anything new there. But I think, speaking of games that didn't blow up when they came out, but now have, that is my entry.
Among Us. That is a really good shout. It's so interesting as well because I teach as well. Like whenever I teach, like that often gets brought up a lot. They're always playing that. Playing that, and I hadn't heard of it a couple, say in March, but we've all come back, and that's all everyone plays, which is crazy.
And it's such a lovely game. Like, it's not like there's some pretty gruesome kills in it, but like it still feels like really wholesome, and it's just like such a nice game that like people who play games, people who don't play games, can just get involved and just have a lovely time.
Yeah.
The actual core gameplay is pretty simplistic, but the like actual game part of it is all the conversation and like. And it's kind of silly and fun because you kind of like, you're accusing your friend, and it's like, it's a great game.
I'm
gonna try and get my family to play this Christmas.
Oh, nice.
I don't think they'll do, because the other thing is actually above anything else, if you play it on your phone, it's free. So
yeah,
that's crazy, man.
It is awesome.
It's coming out to Game Pass as well.
Shut up, Dad.
Banging on about Game Pass again.
Oh god.
Just saying, it's coming to Game Pass.
One cool thing about Among Us is like the customization you can do with it. So I played a version of it which was kind of like turning it into the movie Alien.
Oh wow.
The imposter suddenly became the alien. Cool. Everyone who wasn't the imposter had their viewing range limited down to like a couple of meters. And there was no chatting, no talking allowed, but you just have to go about your business, try and get things done, and just out of nowhere someone comes, kills you.
Terrifying. That's terrible.
And you have to see if you can finish the game. It's really fun.
Zach, I was just going to say, anything else you want to mention, or are you happy to move on?
No, move on. That's my pitch for the year.
Awesome. Dav, do you want to go, or shall I go?
I'll go. Yeah.
Cool.
So I've got quite a few. I have picked one. I think I might change my mind mid-sentence, but I have picked one. But when lockdown first started back in March 16th-ish, I started keeping a list of all the games and TV shows that I completed and stuff. So it's quite a handy little list, and a lot of these are games from previous years. So some shout-outs have to go to my nominees. No, Mortal Kombat 11. That's a really, really good game.
Yeah.
And, like, not just the multiplayer and, like, the core mechanics of the fighting are really sound, but, like, the story's so good. And the Aftermath expansion that they did is so good. I streamed it, and I was like, I'll do a bit of it tonight, I'll do a bit more tomorrow. I just did the whole 4.5 hours in one night.
That's awesome.
It was just so enjoyable. It felt like Avengers Endgame, but with Mortal Kombat characters. It was really just batshit mental, and it was just so fun.
It won Fighting Game of the Year at the VGAs, right?
Yeah, it did, and it didn't come out this year, so
yeah,
the Ultimate Edition. It's like, I'm not sure you're allowed that.
But then Among Us one as well. Among Us one as well, for like multiplayer. I think it was.
Yeah.
And that came out like 4 years ago. So we allowed it.
Yeah. We didn't get asked to vote for it, so
no. Next year.
Oh yeah. But other games that were really good, Super Mario 3D Land on the 3DS.
Nice.
That was a really big surprise to me because those side-scrolling 3D ones for me just have no appeal. I have no appeal whatsoever. But because I bought a 2DS ages ago, like in April or May or whatever, and I thought, well, that's a game I've never played. Never appealed to me, but it was cheap, so I bought it, and I was like, like, there are some of the levels in that are like some of the best Mario levels I've ever played.
Yeah.
It's so good, like, what they do with some of the ideas in there. Really inventive, really enjoyed that. Call of Duty Modern Warfare. The campaign for that. I played so much Warzone. There's no way that's winning because I binned that game and uninstalled it a few months ago, and I've never looked back since. But my favourite game, not from this year, is The Messenger.
Oh yeah, I remember you playing that.
Oh yeah.
So
I remember that.
This is a game that I streamed. I streamed the whole of it. Not in one night, because that's longer than 4 hours. But it's such a brilliant game. It's like, so the first half is in 8-bit, and the graphics are really nice, and it's got that really sort of lovely retro feel to it. It's kind of like Shovel Knight does. And it's just a 2D platformer. You make your way from left to right, and the mechanics are so tight, and the platforming is so great, and it's just amazing. It's just amazing. You get halfway through the game, and they go, "Oh, timey-wimey time travel stuff," and you're like, "What?" And now you're going between 8-bit and 16-bit graphics, going through two different timelines, trying to reverse this massive calamity that happened 100 years ago, and it's just, and then it becomes a Metroidvania, and you're going back through these levels that you've played through, and because you've got this extra dimension to it, different parts start opening up, and you can see the game through a different level, and all these different abilities that you earn, and it's just so incredibly fine-tuned, and it's hard to say it's not perfect.
Yeah.
Like, it's so close to perfect, I can't think of anything wrong with the game, except for maybe the final boss was a little easy. But, if that's the only complaint you've got for a game, it's a pretty fucking good game.
That's great. I remember you streaming it. I remember you saying at the time, you mentioned on the podcast a few times that just how much you loved it. So good. It's nice that it's come back and made your list. I like that. I'll just quickly run through mine. So Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition. I didn't play the game they added on at the end. I can't remember what it's called, but I didn't play that, so I can only talk about the actual Xenoblade Chronicles game that I played. That's on my list. That's one of my favorite games of the year. It's not my favorite game from a previous year, but I did absolutely love that. Horizon Zero Dawn was another one that I genuinely loved, and I put about 40 hours into that. I can understand why that was. I can understand why that was so many people's game of the year, but I can also understand why it didn't beat Breath of the Wild for game of the year. It's one of those things where it's amazing, but Breath of the Wild is a generational game for me personally. So that was awesome though. Mario Galaxy, another one that I played for the first time this year again, which I loved. There were a few things I didn't love, but I still had a great experience. Ocarina of Time, going actually playing that on for the remake for the 3DS was beautiful. And Journey as well. I mentioned Journey earlier. That was such a lovely game. It was one of the first games I played for this podcast. I think it was like episode 3 I played that, and that was genuinely one of the most beautiful moments I've had in a video game. And I'll always remember that. But the game I'm going to pick is Link Between Worlds, because that is one of the best Zelda games I've ever played. And it's hard. It's so weird because I'm not going to talk about it too much because I think a lot of people have played it. But the fact that I hadn't played it and then got this brand new Zelda game, essentially brand new Zelda game for me, was just, as someone that loves Zelda, it's probably my favorite franchise. It was so great. And to just add on what you said about the 3DS is such a great console. There's so many great games on there, and like to be able to have that Zelda experience that I had, with I'm still making my way through Majora's Mask. Rosie's playing Fire Emblem, so I'm not, and I've also got a PS5, so I've got stuff to do. But yeah, I'll say Link Between Worlds. It was one of the best games I've played this year, and one of the best games I've ever played. Just such a great game. I figure I'll start the next one, and we'll just go in reverse now because that'll make it easier for us going forward. So we'll talk about surprise of the year. So I'm going to mention a few of them. One of them was Hyrule Warriors, and that was purely because that came out of nowhere. It's not my surprise of the year in the sense that like I thought, because I'm going to talk about something very personal. Not in a I'll get to it now. Animal Crossing Success was I'd say surprising in a shocking way. 25 million units sold in 8 months is unbelievable. I can't remember the last time a game sold that much that quickly. It's shocking. Astro's Playroom, again, I didn't expect to play that because I didn't expect to get a PS5. Streets of Rage 4, that was also another surprise there because me and Dav just sort of played it and we both just fell in love with it. That was one of my favorite. That was one of the first Twitch experiences together. I genuinely had so much fun. But my surprise video is actually linked to the fact that I actually wasn't expecting to get a PS5. And I'm going to say Spider-Man Miles Morales. And that's purely because I actually wasn't... My surprise in the sense that I wasn't expecting it to come out first. And I then wasn't expecting to be able to play it on a PS5. So my surprise is kind of linked into the fact that I just wasn't expecting to play it, and the fact that I love that game so much. It was such a great experience. There's been a lot of surprises, but that I'd say that's my favorite. But yeah, like I said, we'll go in reverse now. So Davke, what was your surprise of the year?
Yes, you named a couple of mine. So Streets of Rage 4. I mean, what a joy that was! That was our first multiplayer Mondays.
Yeah, it was.
Did that 2 weeks in a row and finished it, and it was just so enjoyable. And then you destroyed me in our head-to-head. Which I'm so upset about. Yeah, and Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity being a good game.
Shocking.
Like, I had such a disagreeable experience with the first Hyrule Warriors, and then just to spend 5 minutes in the demo of the Age of Calamity and be like, oh, this is incredible. Or like, this could be incredible, and just instantly buying it. I was like, demos don't make me do that usually. Like, it took a lot for that. But my favourite surprise of the year, yeah, I can name a few, but I'm rambling. My favourite one is the announcement and launch and brilliance of Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2.
Nice.
The fact that we didn't even know that was coming, and then all of a sudden Jeff Keighley's like, "Oh, I've got a little something for you. Look at my YouTubes," and it's like an announcement, and they're the old versions. They're the new old versions of themselves. They're like the mid 40s, early 50s versions of Tony Hawk, and all these, and they've got loads of new skaters in there, and the soundtrack. Oh, the soundtrack!
Yeah.
Like, oh my god, like, it's so iconic, and they've added new songs, and those songs like fit well. And it's just so well put together, the whole package, and they've been updating it after launch with free updates, which Activision, like, you don't expect it. Like, they've done so well with that, and obviously that follows on from the Crash remakes and the Spyro remakes and the Crash Team Racing remake, and like, they've just done so much work, and there's so much love that's gone into it, and yeah, it fills me with glee, and just like, sometimes I'll be playing it and I'll be like, oh, it's this song, and I'll just press pause and I go, so here I am doing it. And it's just such a joy to play. Like, a massive nostalgia trip, but like brought forward to the 21st century, or the 2020s or whatever, and just came out just when we all needed it to. What a joy it was.
I love the fact that it was a quality game in its own right as well. That for me, I mean, I didn't play it, from what I've seen, from what you two have both said as well, you and Dav. I'm so glad. I'm so happy. I will eventually get around to it one day, but that's awesome. Anything else to mention, Dav, or just happy to move on to Zach?
Sure, probably, but I'm gonna hand it over.
Awesome.
I do need to jump in now, because there's no point coming back to this, because this was also my surprise.
There we are. Amazing.
Snap. The Davs got it in sync there.
Amazing.
And yeah, I just want to highlight, it was a triple surprise. 1, it got announced. 2, they dropped the first level a week before. That was a lovely surprise.
The warehouse demo was so nice.
Yeah, and then released it, and it was all amazing. So yeah, I'm absolutely on board. So triple surprise points.
I love that. I love that. I love that. There's nothing really much more we can say about it, but awesome. Double Dav. With a bit of Tony Hawk. Zach, should we go to you?
I don't know if I've had any like major surprises this year. In terms of like specifics, like there's no games where I'm like really shocked because I don't know. There was nothing that I like played this year where I was like really shocked at how bad compared with how good I was expecting, or vice versa. Mostly things have been kind of as we kind of thought. I think that's kind of fair to say.
That's great.
I mean, the main thing I think has surprised me is the way that the consoles have, the way that PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X and S, the directions that they've gone. Like the Game Pass that we talk about a lot.
Yeah.
And PlayStation's response to that, or Sony's response to that. Yeah, I don't know. That seems to me like the biggest thing that's kind of threw me for a loop. I didn't expect it to sort of change the way that consoles are going to work. It seems like consoles are not going to be. The console wars are now maybe coming to an end, and I guess I didn't see that coming. But on a personal note, no, I don't think anything really threw me for a loop. I was surprised at how well Animal Crossing did. Because I bought that game, not that game, but one of the old ones in 2005, and I got made fun of for it. I loved that game.
Well, now there's like 25 million people willing to back you up, Zach, including all of us in here. So,
of course. But that I guess that was a little bit of a surprise. But yeah, other than that.
One thing I was going to mention as well, and I completely forgot about it until just this second, is Bethesda being bought out by Microsoft is also something we needed to add onto surprise, because that was huge. But yeah, I guess that was huge more in a wow rather than a specific personal moment of like us experiencing a game or something. But yeah.
Oh, and also Final Fantasy 16 being a PS5 exclusive was a really annoying surprise.
Oh yeah.
Damn it! I can't play the 16th one.
Gotta go back and play 13 again.
Of course.
I'm waiting.
I'm
waiting
actually
for
not
that
joking.
stream.
I'm a little bit tempted to do that.
Oh, please.
Because I've got to start a new game, and I kind of want to. I kind of want to do a game I hate. I think that might be
please.
funny.
Why not? Yeah.
Especially
You know
if you
what?
end up loving it, that'd be amazing.
No,
I love
never gonna happen.
Saz Katzroy from that game, who is the guy with the afro and the chocolate chick.
Yeah.
He's one of my favorite all-time gaming characters, so I'll watch that stream.
Yeah, I'll
love
tune
and
in.
not hate.
I'm just surprised you still have it.
Now I actually have to do. Well, I don't have it. No, I actually said this on the stream. My friend came over a few months ago, and he was like, "Hey, I've got all these Xbox 360 games. Here you go." And I was like, I really don't need Final Fantasy 13, but thanks.
Oh man.
Well, Zach,
it is the same copy that I played when it came out, so that's
okay.
a nice little cyclical thing for
that
it.
is quite nice. Well, Zach, like I said, we'll if we're going in reverse, we'll come back to you. Do you want to take us away with disappointment of 2020? Any disappointments for you? Really?
No, I'm kidding. That's not Jesus. No disappointments.
The reaction to The Last of Us 2.
Yeah.
Well, that was kind of disappointing. Well, I'm disappointed in some people in the industry. You know, there's been a lot of crunch and a lot of harassment and not very good things. No surprises there, but still disappointing. On a personal note, my biggest disappointment, and I know not everyone agrees with me on this, but Far Cry 4, which I didn't play until like the beginning of this year. It came out like ages and ages ago. Far Cry 3 is one of my favorite games of all time, and Far Cry 4 is super boring, and I don't like it.
Isn't it just a rehash of 3 with like it's just?
I mean, that's my opinion. I think there are people who would say it and I wouldn't argue if someone really feels that it stands on its own 2 feet. I wouldn't say that they're wrong. I'd just say personally, it doesn't do it for me in the same way. I think part of the problem is that it does have some older sensibilities. I mean, if I played Far Cry 3 now for the first time, it probably wouldn't hit quite so hard as it did in 2013.
Yeah.
And that's just the nature of AAA gaming. You know what I mean? I think generally the games that last a bit longer tend to be not good. Well, I mean, hyperrealism is a big problem. You know, if you're trying to go for like, this is what things look like, it's not going to look so good in 5 years' time. Whereas, you know, like Hollow Knight, great example, has been out for 3 years. Yeah. And that's not going to age anytime soon, I don't think. Shovel Knight, even older, I think, more like 2014.
Yeah.
That looks as good as it ever has, you know.
Super Mario Bros. 3.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, actually, the best comparison actually is the difference between Twilight Princess and Wind Waker.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's the easiest way of looking at it. You know?
And it's hilarious because back then as well, people really hated the way Wind Waker looked.
It's so cartoony.
Now it's like,
yeah. I don't remember that at the time. People talk about that now, but I remember just being like, I
remember
remember being like a little kid and just being like, "Oh my god, cartoons, woohoo!" Awesome.
No, I think it's mainly because they released like an animatic
tech
to
demo.
promote the GameCube, where it was a really gritty, edgy Zelda, and then the game that came out was Wind Waker, and it was like, what happened to the big fighty sword slashings?
Especially because the last game they'd had before that was Majora's Mask, which was quite mature in a lot of ways. A lot of themes in that game were quite mature.
But the animatic was so ugly looking.
It was ugly looking.
Majora's Mask is ugly looking, but it makes sense for it to be ugly looking. You know what I mean? Like, it feels like, all right, I'm in this ugly, uncomfortable world. Everything kind of feels quite jarring. Yeah. And that works. Yeah. But I don't really want to see, like, Twilight Princess, but gross. You know what I mean?
Twilight Princess was gross. I like that. Awesome. Thanks, Zach. Let's move on to Dav Weeks. Disappointment of 2020.
The PlayStation 5 launch lineup.
Yeah.
Good point. Yeah, really good point.
I was really excited to see what was going to come out on PlayStation 5 that would make me want to run out this Christmas and get one, and there wasn't a single thing there that made me go...
Snacks.
Bug snacks.
There's just like nothing. Like Final Fantasy 16 was the only thing that made me go, ooh! Yeah. But that's miles away. Yeah. You know, it's just like, and I'm still waiting to find a proper reason to get a PlayStation 5, and that's just not come.
Yeah, I think in general, I think even though like me and Dav both have next gen consoles, a lot of it for me was wanting something that just runs games better than my base PS4. That a lot, because I play so many games. A lot of it for me was that, and I'm so happy I got it for that. But I if you don't like you say, if you don't like Spider-Man Miles Morales, if you don't like that game, if that doesn't make you want to buy it, and if you don't like Demon Souls, I mean, I haven't bought Demon Souls. I know for a fact that I will not enjoy that game, so I'm not even bothering to buy it. But that is a really good point.
If you do like Demon Souls, it's out on PS3.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Yeah. Anything else? Anything else, Dav? Anything else?
Nah, that's the main one.
Awesome. Cool. Dav Gape?
Well, I think I have to. It's not my thing, but now you've said that, I have to mention that the Xbox Series X launch lineup was also pants. But like the PS5, there were one or two sort of bright, shining beacons of joy amongst the darkness, and this is very much linked to my disappointment of the year. That's Halo Infinite being delayed.
Yeah.
I mean, I like it when a game gets delayed. I think good. Take your time, finish it, don't crunch. And actually, some things they've come out recently and said makes me feel really positively about the fact that they will not crunch. I was going to say try not crunch, but that's not good enough, is it? So yeah, so like it is a positive because it means that they've decided they need more time to make the game that they think that the fans deserve.
Yeah.
So that's good, and maybe some other companies could follow suit. And obviously, Cyberpunk would have been my disappointment of the year, but I think I just don't care enough about the game, like about buying the game. I don't care about the issues that have been shown, and like especially the epilepsy issues.
Yeah.
As far as like a general disappointment, that is very disappointing. Just to know that that's happened and everything around that as well, like it's not good at all. But as a personal thing that I've experienced, having not played Cyberpunk, is the Halo Infinite delay.
Yeah,
I was like, oh, that was the killer app for the Series X. That's what I was really looking forward to, just smashing that multiplayer every day. But gonna have to wait.
Yeah, and it was a shame, wasn't it? It was a big shame when that got delayed. But at the same time, like you say, it's from what Microsoft have said, they're taking it seriously, and that if it's going to be fixed, they want it to be the best it can be. They're taking their time, and ultimately, we should be okay with that. We should be happy for that. Because when people get rushed, we get Cyberpunk, and that's actually one of mine. I've got two, and I kind of didn't know which one to pick. I think probably end up being Cyberpunk, but I did want to mention what Dav Week said as well. Not so much in that the launch lineups of the consoles, but more just how badly the console launch was handled from both Sony and Microsoft, although a bit more Sony. Just lack of information up to a certain point. Sony in particular, when it came to pre-orders, they didn't, like, me and Dav we watched that entire PlayStation event, and it didn't once say that there were going to be pre-orders going live. And we finished at 10 o'clock. I went to bed. I woke up in the morning. Pre-orders gone live, and all of them had gone. And I know I ended up getting one, but if I hadn't got one, and I'd have been left so frustrated at the fact that I didn't even get a chance because they handled that so badly. Don't get me wrong. I love my PS5. It has been so amazing. Some of the games that I've been playing just look incredible. But that I probably would go with CD Projekt Red and Cyberpunk, because as someone that is a huge fan of The Witcher, I was hoping for the best, but I was worried. There's a lot of times I've been worried and as soon as they didn't release any footage with the reviews on base console, PS4 and Xbox Ones, I was seriously worried, because why would they do that? And they were hiding something, and that just, like you said, it adds on to the other issues that you said, Dav, about the fact there was epilepsy issues with people having seizures, which is awful. Thankfully, they have fixed that now, which is great. But still, like, it just something there was problem after problem after problem, and not even specifically linked to just the game itself. It was linked to the fact that crunch was such a huge problem for them this year, and it was all their fault. They can say that they didn't want to delay the game anymore, but like ultimately that is down to bad management, and they have to stick their hands up and say we can't do this again. This is like people will turn against us, and they'll forget anything good we've done previously. So yeah, I think for me, a bit of disappointment. Even though I'm actually weirdly really enjoying Cyberpunk 2077, it is, when it works, a really good game. I'd say combined, the year that they've had, it's not been great, and they need to learn from their mistakes and fast. Now let's move on to something a bit more positive, which is hopes for 2021. I've got a couple of games. I'll just go through them very quickly. So Metroid Prime 4. Not that I actually want the game next year, because I don't think it's coming next year. I just want to see more or something. I want to see how it looks and how it plays. I wouldn't mind getting the trilogy on Switch as well, because again, I haven't played that game. I'm waiting for that game to come out on Switch. It's apparently ready to go, and it's been ready since last year, but it's just not coming. Nintendo Online improvements. There has to be some, because it's terrible at the moment. A really nice one for us, and this is kind of linked to just hopefully next year things will improve, and us being able to go to a convention together. That'd be a lot of fun. Like actually being able to meet up, for the first time in such a long time. First time this year we'll be able to see each other. I mean, Zach will actually be able to meet the Davs for the first time, which is just
that's
incredible.
So funny. How long have we been doing this show for?
Yeah.
Again, since April.
I'm much more handsome in person. I'll just warn you there.
I'm much uglier. Yeah, sorry guys.
But
it's all a facade.
I think the one thing for me that I once I was thinking about all my hopes for 2021, I just kept coming back to the same thing, and that's Breath of the Wild 2, hopefully releasing next year, because Breath of the Wild 1 is one of my favorite games of all time, and I'm very, very excited for that game. Gabe, should we go to you?
Yeah, sure. So I think it might be cheating, but part of what my hopes and dreams are things that I don't know yet. It's I want things to just come at me from every angle that I don't know are coming and haven't heard much from in years or stuff like that. Nintendo is primed to have an absolutely stonking year.
Yep.
And if you look at Xbox's lineup as well, especially with the Bethesda acquisition, that's going to be big as well. Halo, obviously. But yeah, I'm kind of looking forward to finding out things. I want a normal Nintendo Direct again.
Yeah, that'd be lovely. We still haven't had one together. Like that, I'd be desperate for one. The only one we've been able to do together was the Pokemon one. But Pokemon Smile was worth it. Pokemon Smile's the whole year has been worth it.
Pokemon Snap would be great, wouldn't it, in 2021?
Yeah, it would.
The new Pokemon Snap. But yeah, I don't know.
That could be a Christmas release, I think. We haven't heard much of it, but I mean, it can't be that it can't be that complex to take the. I mean, they'll use a lot of the same models and stuff, won't they? As from
it's a brand new game. Sequel.
Depending on whether they.
It's just a weird name.
Because Pokemon tends to release in October and November, so depending on whether they've got a remake of Generation 2. I'm slightly out of my depth when it comes to Pokemon, but it's depending on whether they got a remake, the Let's Go Pikachu.
Are they going to do Let's Go before they do Generation 4?
That's what I'm thinking. Maybe they'll do another one of those. But if not, then that's perfect time for Pokemon Snap to come out.
Yeah. But what else? I would really love for that Star Fox GP game to be real.
What was it?
Oh, there was a rumor last year of a Diddy Kong Racing, but with Star Fox characters.
I need to see that. That sounds ridiculous.
Well, you can't see it. It probably doesn't exist. But
no, but there's a video, huh? Or...
No. It was just massive.
It was heavily rumored / leaked, and they were like, "Oh, it's going to be shown," and then it never did get shown. They were like, "Oh, well, it must be shown in the next one." It didn't get shown. It's like, does it exist?
Apparently, it was Retro.
Yeah,
Apparently, it was Retro Studios.
Making it. Yeah,
and now they're doing Metroid, which is why they were kind of in the bin, and that was it.
Yeah. So
can you just imagine those Slippy Toad in an R-wing going
barrel roll as well? I
can absolutely see that.
Yeah.
And I tell you what, you know what I would like to see, and it's not going to happen, not this year anyway, is a Mario Kart 9
Yeah.
Yeah, we need a new Mario Kart.
It's
Like,
been
we really
far
do.
too long. When was it? 2014 was the last one, I
Yeah.
think?
Yeah. Maybe
Yeah,
even
obviously,
earlier.
Deluxe
Maybe
in 2017.
Yeah, maybe even earlier. It could have been 2012. But you're totally right, though, Mario Kart. We need a new one.
Or at least an expansion for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Like, Jesus
Yeah.
Christ, add something to it.
It's because it's
I know
selling
they don't
so
have
well.
to, because it
That's-
still sells at full price.
It's still kicking ass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's be like. Tell me you're not still having fun on Mario Kart. I know I
Oh,
certainly am.
I'm 100
so.
hours into it. Like it's
Only when I play with you guys.
You're only 100.
Aw.
Johnny, are you only 100 hours in? You're the best Mario Kart player in the world. Johnny's infuriating. We haven't talked about this. Johnny's infuriating to play Mario Kart with because I think everyone thinks they're good at Mario Kart. No, you're not. Johnny's really fucking good.
It's the only game that I don't know what. It's just because I don't know what it is. Maybe it's because I got ADHD and I just zone out. That's it. That's
It's really upsetting how good you are at that game.
Yeah, it's infuriating.
Sorry, I take what I said back. I really enjoy playing with you guys.
Oh god. But yeah, Dav, anything else? I quite like that though. New Mario Kart 9, that'd be quite nice.
No.
Anything else? Let's move on to Dav Weeks. Dav W.
Ooh, hopes for 2021. It's the Zelda anniversary,
Yeah,
and
it is.
I want
Yeah.
to know. I'm really curious. It's generally the only kind of video game mystery that I kind of am even vaguely invested in. I want to know what they do. Like,
Breath of the Wild sequel?
Yeah.
yeah, that's a given.
Do we think,
But surely they'll do
we
like a
think
couple of little
2021
bits.
for Breath of the Wild sequel?
It's the Zelda anniversary. I've got a feeling it's next Christmas.
Yeah.
Or maybe it'll be released next Christmas, available until March 31st.
Damn, see,
Yes.
that actually makes me nervous. The fact that they're putting it on a, if they do put it on an anniversary, that puts them under pressure. And the last time they brought out a Zelda game on an anniversary, we got Skyward Sword, which I didn't play, but I know that lots of people didn't like it.
Yeah, lots of people didn't like it.
Johnny
I
loves
did.
Skyward Sword.
I did
Back
actually.
No,
off.
you
enjoy
don't,
it.
Dav.
I actually do.
I know
Johnny-
you. I know
Johnny
you
does.
do.
I've never played it. I've no
No,
interest in
I haven't
playing
played it.
garbage.
But normally, because Zelda games always get pushed back, don't they? Like, I can't
Yeah,
think of a Zelda
they do.
game that hasn't been pushed back, and that's always
Breath
a
of the
good
Wild,
thing.
I think, released on time.
Don't give me that look. I can't think of a single one that wasn't pushed back
Yeah.
by at least a year, I'm pretty sure.
But I think it
Majora's
got pushed
Mask.
back from here. Oh yeah, from Majora's Mask as
Majora's
well.
Mask. Was Skyward Sword, was that pushed back?
I don't remember it being because it was only
That makes me
it
nervous.
was only 5 years. It was 5 years after Twilight Princess, but it was a brand new game. Whereas Breath of the Wild 2, they're using all of the same assets. That like
That's
a,
true.
A lot of well, I mean, I'm on the assumption that they're going to reuse all of the same world, but it's I mean. Half of it is done in that sense.
Well, all the
they've
assets
got the
are there,
assets
which
and
is
stuff.
good
So
news.
that should cut down a lot of time.
New Switch as well next year. What do you reckon?
Switch Pro. I'm fairly convinced.
Yeah, that sounds
Full-
very
4K
plausible.
Switch?
Yeah. 4K Switch. Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Not
I-
impossible.
no.
Because what does it run at in the handheld? Was it 720?
At best.
Yeah.
Oh right. See, because I think they're gonna have to have it at least 1080 here and 4K on screen, and sort out the
Joy-Cons.
frame rate and stuff. And Jesus,
Oh,
the
yeah.
Joy-Cons. Let's not even talk about the
Oh,
Joy-Cons.
don't. But with regards to the Switch Pro, though, the problem is that they can't make it too powerful, because then that kind of negates having a Switch 2 in about, or whatever they do after the Switch, in about 3 years' time. So they've really got to try and. It's a weird
Maybe
ground.
they're not
That
gonna.
was fun with
Maybe
revisions.
it's just, maybe we're thinking old school console wars. Maybe it's just going to be
The next
the
one.
same way the same way the DS just kind of gradually progressed.
Yeah.
The 3DS is kind of considered its own thing.
Yeah.
But it is still a building from the the DS
you
that came out
have-
in 2005.
Yeah.
3DS, 2DS, 3DS XL.
That was quiet.
New. Oh, can you hear me?
Yes.
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 You've got 3DS, 2DS, 3DS XL,
Mm.
new Nintendo 3DS, new Nintendo 2DS, new Nintendo 3DS XL, new Nintendo 2DS XL,
Yeah.
and they all count as 3DS.
Mm.
Like, I'm more than expecting them to just do switch something,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
for
Yeah.
years and years and years. The same way that I think Xbox are going to be doing Series X2, Series
Yeah.
S2, Series X3, and it's going to be iterations. I think PlayStation are probably the only people that still believe in generations.
Yeah.
And I hope it doesn't bite them in the ass.
Mm.
But yeah, switch something.
Yeah.
Anyway,
yeah.
it wasn't my turn.
Yeah. So Zelda, Dab Weeks. If you were to get a specific Zelda game or a packaged Zelda game, I guess, what games would you like? What would you like to see if there was an anniversary of Zelda?
I mean, I would be more than happy with what they did with
3D All-Stars.
Mario.
Yeah.
And I'd want Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask,
Yeah.
and, well, I'll be honest, Wind Waker.
Yeah.
But Skyward Sword and Twilight Princess can jump
Do you-
in the dung heap.
Do you think they will do that though? Because there's
I don't know.
5 3D games. Do you think they'll split them up into 2? Like you'll get the Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask, and Wind Waker, and then you'll get Twilight Princess and Skyward Sword in another package? Or do you think they? I mean, they haven't done a Skyward Sword remaster. That is the
No,
thing.
and I don't think they will.
I disagree.
I don't know.
I think they
You
will.
think they will?
I think they will because they did it with Wind Waker and they did it with Twilight Princess. It's the only one they haven't done it for. And,
if I was going to put my
yeah.
money on it, I would say they would scrap Majora's Mask and Ocarina of Time, and put them on the eShop if we're lucky.
I hope
the
so. I
updated
really want to
versions.
play Wind Waker.
And then the 3 others, Skyward Sword, Twilight Princess, and Wind Waker, will be on their HD versions on one disc for 60 quid or whatever. I mean, I don't know because the Twilight Princess never made it over to Switch before, did it? It was on
Wii U, so
Wii U.
Wind Waker
So
and
that would be my
Twilight
guess.
Princess on Wii U.
And I think you're
Yeah.
right. I think it would make sense for them to do an HD remaster. Probably there'll be a bit of a turnaround in people's impressions of the game. There'll be a lot of people who will come to its defense.
Yeah, me.
I would. Yeah, just you.
Just me. Everyone
Just
else.
you, Johnny.
Yeah, just me.
I
Awesome.
literally have never played it, so it's not really fair for me to judge.
No, it's, I mean, to be fair, I mean, a lot of the problems with it were problems, in all fairness. It's just I didn't mind them, whereas some people did, which is fair enough. Awesome. Dav, thanks so much. Let's move on to Zach.
I have 4 hopes for this year.
Amazing.
I would like. It's not going to happen, but Elder Scrolls. I just want them to do. I don't even really want to play it that much. I just want to see it. Like I want to see
yeah.
You're gonna
what
buy
the
an
hell
Xbox?
it is. That's all I want. I would like Tony Hawk's Pro Skate 3 because it's the best one.
Yeah,
Like,
that'd be nice.
It's the best one.
Yeah.
Good one.
1 and 2 are sold so well as well.
And also like how hard would it be to just use the same engine and just make some new levels?
exactly.
You know what I mean?
That's
it's
what they
a
did
cash
before.
cow.
It worked
It's
well.
a cash cow. We talked about it already, but I'd really like to see Silk Song this year. That would be definitely one that I could get stuck into. Although that's something I might want to play on my Switch because that's what I'm used to. I liked playing Hollow Knight on my Switch. And here's a weird one, but this is something I'm hoping we don't see or hear anything about. The Last of Us 3. I don't want to hear a single word about it. I don't want it to exist. That sounds weird from someone who loves The Last of Us 2, but I'm concerned that the longer you let a series run, the more problems it falls into, especially one that is so story-based.
Yeah.
One of my
That's
favorite,
true.
2 of my favorite games of all time, for the same reasons as I like The Last of Us, a lot of the same reasons, are Assassin's Creed 2 and Far Cry 3, which I also already mentioned. And Assassin's Creed 2 is... I actually tried to I haven't played Assassin's Creed since 3. I played a little bit of Black Flag, and I went and watched some of the modern-day plot to see what they did with it, and... They didn't make good on a lot of promises. Is the problem?
Yeah.
Is the problem?
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of these like, ooh, what's gonna happen here? And ooh, there's and then they just kind of went like, fuck you, Desmond's gone. I don't care.
No one cares about
They
Desmond.
ballsed
No one cares
it up
about
with
it.
3, didn't they?
I
They
like
really
Desmond
ballsed it up.
personally.
Yeah.
Oh, I hate
Yeah.
Assassin's Creed 3.
Yeah, it sucks. But Assassin's Creed 2 is really good.
Yeah.
And so what I'm concerned about is The Last of Us 1 being great, The Last of Us 2 having mixed opinions, something I really liked, and The Last of Us 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 7 just becoming a clusterfuck. And I don't want it. I just don't need it personally.
Yeah.
If it happens, I can just pretend it's not happening, kind of the same as I do with Assassin's Creed. So in a way, I don't really care that much.
Yeah.
But I think it would be a shame for its legacy to be not looked back on so favorably.
Yeah.
Because I think of them as big, important games.
Yeah.
What about another Last of Us Left Behind style game? Like a smaller adventure with different characters in the same world.
Yeah.
But not
The
next
thing
year.
is, I actually
agree,
think
that would be
there is
way
a
too
way.
soon.
In fact, I pitched an idea to Johnny not so long ago about what my Last of Us 3 would look like.
I don't
And
think
maybe
Johnny
I'll-
has a deciding role in how to do Last
Just
of Us
hang on,
2.
let me get the phone to Neil.
Yeah. Well, I figured because I
Oh,
didn't want to call
Druckers.
Neil because it would be
Oh,
awkward.
Druckers.
But no, so I have an idea. There is a way of making it work. My concern is that won't be the way that it goes. So I do think that a Left Behind thing would be less risky, certainly to the whole thing, because even if Left Behind hadn't have been like, even if you don't like Left Behind very much, it doesn't really spoil anything. It's just kind of like there.
Yeah.
It's a little bit of extra.
The only thing I would say is that I do think there's going to be at least a 3.
There will be.
Purely because Neil Druckmann was on the writing team for the Uncharted series, and that had a 1, 2, 3, 4, and an expanded game in itself.
And
so,
to be fair, Uncharted 1 everyone likes, 2 everyone hates, and then 3 everyone likes again. So maybe.
Well,
And a formula.
No,
here.
actually, it was the inverse. 2 was like the best. So, like,
2's
maybe,
the one everyone likes,
2.
3's the one
So
no
maybe
one likes.
The Last of Us is just doing the opposite of the Uncharted series.
Yeah.
But yeah.
It'll definitely happen. That's why it's a hope.
Yeah, I
for
think so.
2021.
Should we go into Game of the Year, because I think we're coming along at quite a pace now. So Zach, we'll start with you because like I said, we're going in reverse. So what
You
would
know what
be?
it is already.
I mean, in all fairness, we've just been talking about it. Is it your Game of the Year?
I guess it probably is. For the games that came out this year, yes. I don't really like to give. I wouldn't like to do that for an obvious AAA game, generally speaking.
Yeah.
But it was important to me. So on a personal note, yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
On an impersonal note, on a general note, I guess like Animal Crossing is quite a big one, because I just think it meant so much to so many people, and that's a big deal to me. I didn't even play it, but I just think that's such a great thing to be.
It's been a beautiful moment.
It's a really good
Beautiful.
thing for them to have been a part of during this horrible year.
Yeah, you are totally right. I think for a lot of people, Animal Crossing genuinely did help them this year, and I love that. I love that. But yeah, Last of Us 2 gets your nod. Awesome. Dav Weeks.
Snap again. So, like, if I had to pick a
The Last of Us 2.
game, if I had to pick a game of any particular, like any year, like a game of a year with this lineup of games, I'd pick Last of Us 2. But because this is the game of year 2020, it is Animal Crossing.
Yeah.
Because it's the game that 2020 needed.
Yeah, totally
For
agree.
that very reason. I mean, I've had Animal Crossing birthdays with friends, you know.
Love that.
That's so cute.
Yeah, well,
I
like,
love that.
oh no, yeah, like Hoy's birthday, we couldn't go anywhere, so we had an Animal Crossing birthday. I invited everyone around. I
love
set up
that.
party
That is
games.
excellent work. I
We had a
love
costume
that.
competition.
So cool.
It was great.
Oh, Dav, I
You
love
know,
that.
And just shit like that, you know. It was just a medium to be able to communicate with your friends in a time when you couldn't really communicate with your friends and do fun things.
Yeah,
Nintendo at its best. I mean, Nintendo's had a pretty awful year in many ways, but they smashed it out of the park with Animal Crossing. It's just Nintendo at its best. That's awesome. Yeah, I love that, Dav. Honestly, I can't tell you how much I love that.
Yeah.
Anything else you wanna add?
Nah, leave that there.
Awesome. Dav Gape.
Hello. I've got 3 games, and it took me a while to decide. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2, I think counts as a new game because they did so much for it.
Yeah.
For all the reasons I've spoken about already. What an excellent package that was. And then I was torn between Spiritfarer and Yakuza Like a Dragon. Now, Spiritfarer is, I think it's a very important game. For those who don't know, you play a young woman called Stella and her gorgeous little cat, and you take over the role of the ferrier of the underworld. So you take over from Charon.
Yeah.
Charon. And your job is to find these people on these different islands who need help to find peace of mind towards the end of their lives, and then you help them pass gently in the night, as it were. And just the characters in that game are just so beautiful and really touching, and some of the yeah, just the characterizations are just so human, and they're all anthropomorphic. And like BoJack Horseman, for instance, I know tangent, but Netflix series. It's my favorite TV show of all time because I think it is the most brutal and honest display of the human experience that you can find in TV, and the main character is a horse. Like, it's the same thing with this.
Yeah,
same thing with this game. Like, it's such a beautiful portrayal of how like relationships and empathy and like all the important things that people have needed. Not just this year, but every year, but especially this year. Like, and in a year of great loss as well, for many people. I think this game, it's really important, and it's just a game about love and respect, mutual respect, and just helping each other, and it's just beautiful. So I really wanted to make sure I got that mentioned in. But my game of the year is Yakuza Like a Dragon.
I love that.
It's
phenomenal. From the sublime to the ridiculous, I think you've just gone from there, like,
yeah.
But in a great way.
Yeah, like, it is the most bonkers piece of brilliance I've ever played. Like, no game has made me laugh out loud so, like, unexpectedly. Like, at small things and big things. Like, there's the ridiculous, but there's also the brilliance. The writing is phenomenal. Like, and I've got it on the Japanese dub, English sub, because, you gotta.
Authentic.
Yep.
Yeah, and I've almost cried several times playing this game, and then the next scene will be you meet this Yakuza boss who him and all his cronies are all there in nappies and pretending to be babies, but like it doesn't feel jarring. It doesn't. It's not like what I almost cried at that last cutscene, and now I'm doing this. It's like no, actually. This world is so well crafted that it all makes sense and it all feels like genuine in the sort of the brilliant silliness of it all. And the main narrative takes such brilliant plot twists, like better than most TV series. Like, it's better than any J.J. Abrams series I've ever seen. It's just so well done, and it's the 7th game in the franchise. They've taken some massive risks with changing the formula of it. New character, new city, absolutely new mechanics. It's a new genre. It's a different genre to all the other games. And for what I can tell, they've absolutely smashed it. One or two of the mini-games aren't as exciting, as fun as I thought they'd be. The Dragon Kart, the go-kart race and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
It's not that fun, but I still want to complete it. Like, I still completed it, so, it had something going for it. But there's a business management sim in the game, and those who've played other Yakuza games will know there are business management sims in there. But it's a fully fledged business management sim game. It's just a side thing in Yakuza, and it's just like I spent 4 hours the other night just doing that, and just like building up my business from like a little sweet shop into this like massive conglomerate, the number one shareholders company in all of Japan. And yeah, just this game has so much, and you can't come away from that game disappointed and wishing you could get more value for money.
Yeah.
Like, it's so great. And for it's not an open world game, it's an open city game. And it's so dense, and there's like 4 things around every corner, and there are so many different mechanics to it. It's just, and it's just so well crafted, and this development team deserve absolute plaudits for building a brilliant, brilliant game. And yeah, I can't wait to play through Yakuza 0 to 6.
Ah, nice. Yakuza 0 had really good reviews, didn't it? Because I saw it from this year. It's one of the best games of the year as well. So you're in for a good one there, Dav. That's awesome. I've seen so many clips of it. I've seen you playing it as well. It looks bonkers, but I've said this in the best kind of way.
Yeah.
And that's a great shout. It's a great shout. I'll just briefly run through a couple of games that in the same way that I've really loved this year. And Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition, again, the first time I've ever played that game, and I can see why it's considered to be one of the best JRPGs of all time. Miles Morales was like genuinely wowed me on the PS5, and I love the original Spider-Man. That game in itself is brilliant. Miles Morales adds lots to especially the combat, and the story is beautiful, and I really love that. Hyrule Warriors, again, wasn't expecting it to come out, but I genuinely loved it. I did love it. I've still got more to play, but I loved that game. But it came down to 3, and 2 of them we've already mentioned. It came down to Final Fantasy VII Remake, which was, for me, 23 years in the making, and that was such a beautiful moment to see. Like, you know, when you play a remaster of a game that the graphics really are old school, and you play it in 3D and it's brand spanking new, and it's everything you imagined it to be as a kid. That was such a beautiful moment. The only thing that lets down that game is that it's 5 hours too long, and because of that, I didn't feel like I could give it the gong, as it were, you know, my choice. And then it just came down to Last of Us 2 and Animal Crossing, and as much as I loved Animal Crossing, I think it has to go to Last of Us 2, because I've never played a game where at the end, or at that last segment of Last of Us 2, I was in tears. Like, I've never been so affected by a game in my life, and not in a way that I'm angry, but I was completely caught up in the whole thing. I was torn apart by everything that happened in that game in the best kind of way. Some people would think that's a bad thing. I don't. I think of it as this experience that, like, it really affected me, and that's what art is supposed to do. I genuinely consider Last of Us 2 to be a piece of art, and it has its flaws, and people will hate that game. I don't care. Like, for me, it's the combat is great, and I really enjoyed the story as much as that story hurt me, if that makes sense. I don't really care that it did, because the experience, like, I was talking about this with Rosie, and she kind of said to me, she's like, what's the one game that you couldn't really forget after playing it? And I was like, I couldn't stop thinking about The Last of Us 2 for about a week after I played it. So I think that's my shout.
The fact that people hate it is pretty good news, because if something is like mediocre and people don't love it or hate it, it probably didn't do anything. If people hate it and people also love it, I actually think that's pretty high praise. I have a friend, I'm not going to name any names, who was starting to get some hate on their TikToks, because they make TikToks regularly, getting hate comments or whatever, and she was like a little bit upset, and I was like, no, dude, that's really good news, because that means people actually care about what you're doing. You know what I mean? That means, you know, I mean, admittedly, I'm not saying go out and just do like a racist rant on TikTok or whatever, but I mean, like, if you're doing something, you know, normal and artistic, and people hate it, you're doing something. You know what I mean? Even if it's not, you know what I mean? Best example is The Room. You know what I mean? That, you know, it's universally adored for how weird it is. Yeah. But if it had just been a normal, boring, whatever movie, no one would ever remember it.
Yeah, it would just be bad. Whereas
it would just be bad. It'd just be
now it's just it's
so no. Even if you hate The Last of Us 2, it did something.
Yeah, honestly, and the ending of that game, I was genuinely in tears. It's just the credits are rolling, and I couldn't stop. Like, I was so upset. In a way that, like, I wasn't upset because I felt cheated. I was upset because I got swept away with the story.
Yeah.
And that's a completely different thing. Yeah, some people do feel like they were cheated. I don't personally. That's my experience of it, and I love that game. That's my shout. Gents, that's it. That's the end of podcast number 36 and our last of 2020. Thank you so much for listening today and throughout the year. Considering how tough 2020 has been for all of us, I guess I could speak on behalf of you guys as well. We can't begin to describe just how grateful we are the channel has grown and developed as much as it has. And that's purely down to everyone listening, subscribing, contributing to Patreon, and like everything. So on behalf of all of us, just thank you. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching, and thank you for supporting us. And if you enjoyed the show, then please, like I always say, follow us on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, tell your friends, and give us a review or comment, because that would mean the world to us. And as well, check out our Patreon. There are all kinds of tiers on there. You've heard me say it a million times, but just go over there and check some stuff out. We'd really appreciate it. Like I said, this is the last podcast of the year, so when it comes to streaming, we might be a bit more inconsistent, because this is now the party time of the year, and we'll all be in our flats doing nothing, probably. So we might be streaming. We might not. So keep your eyes peeled. Hopefully, one of us will be doing something fun over the next couple of weeks. We are hopefully aiming to be back around the first week of January. So look out for us the first week of January. We're going to have a nice little break. I think, in all honesty, I think we've all deserved it. Yeah, anything else you guys want to say?
Last of Us 2 should have finished at the farm. Just going to leave that there. Happy New Year!
I love that. That's great.
Great ending.
And anyone else, Staff? You going to say anything?
No, I'll just leave it there. I don't know what it means, but I'm happy to leave it there.
We're gonna leave it. We're gonna leave it at the farm. This is Video Games Ahoy, and we'll see you next year.
That's really funny.
Ahoy!
Ahoy!
Nadolig llawen.
Nadolig llawen.